Bad. Bad, Kirkland. Bad. Huh? What was that?
What are you doing up here at this hour?
I just came up to get a drink. I woke up with such a sore throat, I just had to come up here and get a drink, and I decided to go check around on the bridge.
They're baby Klingons.
What?
I don't know how they got in here. We're still trying to get rid of them.
A baby Klingon?
Go back to bed.
Are you crazy? This is Star Trek Strange New Worlds Episode 9. All those who wander are not lost, I believe is how the line goes. Are people who wander lost in this episode? Are they found? Just when you think you're lost, you're found, and just when you think you can't, you can. This is almost the end of Strange New Worlds, the penultimate episode, as they say. And just like I said, we're bringing back the Gorn. Remember a few episodes ago when I said, gosh, I hope they're not bringing back the Gorn for the big bad guys this season? Well, they did. And something else they brought back was some Discovery-style writing. That's right, guys. Discovery fans out there, this episode is for you. Discovery's back, baby. This is just a pure Star Trek Discovery episode. Almost nothing going on morally. No real strong philosophical foundation. No intrigue. No big questions to answer. We're just in a big dumb fight with some Gorn. And it looks ugly. If not a little gross. If you like gross, if you like gore, if you like fighting, you might get something out of this episode, and I can respect that. For me, there is nothing really in this episode. So, you would surmise that I did not enjoy this episode very well. In fact, I will preface this review by saying this is possibly the worst episode of Strange New Worlds. That's my opinion. Yours is your own, and this is mine. So, without further ado, let's get down into why exactly this doesn't work by breaking down the plot. Now, if I stopped every few minutes to explain what was going on and why it wasn't working for me, this review would take forever. So I'm going to simply walk through the plot and then break down the problems, okay? So we're going to try to do this chronologically here. This episode starts with a log from Uhura, okay? We have a crewman's log here. I like the captain's logs, but this one's from Uhura. It's her last day on the Enterprise before she has to return to the Academy, probably if she wants to stay in Starfleet. She's finishing her training regime, which is like a contact on-the-ship training program you have to go through as a crewman, okay? This is before you become an officer. Before you actually finish at Starfleet, you have to actually go get hands-on training. And you do it through all these different divisions. You go through a rotation, okay? I did mine on the Edinburgh. I went to the Edinburgh in 2241. Finished up contact training rotation there. Went back for 2 more years at Starfleet. And then went from that into the engineering training program. Engineering officers training program, which is like a streamline you can go into for engineering. And then I got on the Mulgrave as an ensign. And then here as a lieutenant. It's a long story. But I remember everything Uhura went through. The melancholy goodbye, somber as it is something we can all remember. We're leaving the first ship we were on, and we look around, we try to get a feel for it. Well, she's at a party, right? And I had the same party when I left the Edinburgh, but she's leaving the Enterprise. Okay, so that's kind of a bigger deal. Hopefully, as Pike says, there's always a place for her in the Enterprise. And newsflash, this is a prequel, so nothing is really that compelling. We know what's going to happen. We know she comes back. So, and similarly, in this death-defying episode, we know who can't die. So, we're going there with some TOS characters. Oh, and these 2 other characters, they're not in TOS. Who's gonna die, I wonder? Yeah, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but regardless, we're cleaning up after our dinner. Duke has been promoted from ensign to lieutenant. Hooray. He is now Lieutenant Duke. And why did they introduce this character? To endear us to him, right? Why do you think we're introducing this guy who we didn't see in TOS? Can you put two and two together, guys? We have to deliver power cells to Space Station K7. Yeah, that's right. Vidian power cells or something like that. And it's time sensitive. These exotic materials for the power cells, they're going to go bad. Okay, they're going to rot, they're going to degrade, they're going to evaporate. We have to get there fast. Aren't we already a Priority 1 mission? Well, we're being interrupted. We have to get the connecting flight to planet Beta Vallejo. I think they call it Beta Vallejo 4, Vallejo 2. I can't remember. But they need to go there to intercept or investigate a distress signal. How many terrible days in your life have come from a distress signal? Uh-oh. Something happened to another Starfleet ship. Let's go find out what happened, shall we? Well, they need to take a portion of the crew, leaving behind Ortegas and Una on the ship. And we're taking Pike, we're taking Spock, we're taking Sam Kirk, Hemmer, Uhura, and Duke, who we've just been introduced to, newly promoted, to this planet where we're going to intercept the signal, okay, and see what happened. They're calling it Priority 1. I call it Priority Stupid, because what happens is kind of stupid. A comedy of errors ensues, as we would call it. They get down there, and we've been introduced to the ship in dialogue before this. It's mentioned that it is a Sombra class, and I'm thinking, yes, here we go. We got a new ship class. This is going to be awesome. And then Mbenga sets our expectations low. He says it's built from Constitution class parts. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe we can get a kit bash. I like a good kit bash. For those who don't know, a kit bash is when you take parts from a different ship and rearrange them to create a ship of a different arrangement, different style, sometimes a different size. Think back to the Battle of Wolf 359, TNG. A lot of the ships that we're seeing in the background of that shot were kit bashes, and a lot of fantastic ships came out of it. Anyway, so we find this Peregrine, they call it the U.S.S. Peregrine, and we get down to the planet, and my guys, it's just a Constitution class. No one in their right mind would call it a something different than a Constitution. Look at it. It is exactly like the Constitution class. We find this ship. We're calling it the U.S.S. Peregrine. We put it in the dialogue, by the way, that this isn't the Constitution class. Understandable. At least the writers know this much, okay? We can't call it a Constitution class because these things have been around for a long time, and Star Trek canon has more or less wrapped things up on what happened to every Constitution class ship. There's not that many of them. We'll call it a Sombra class. It's made from Constitution class parts. And it looks exactly like the Constitution. Guys, here's the Enterprise. See? Okay, it has a crew of about 400. Something like that, give or take a few. Okay? Constitution class. Get a good look. Okay? Guys, here comes the Sombra class. What? The Sombra class? Huh, so you're saying that this is a different class of ship? Uh-huh. And it only needs a crew of 99? Yep. How come we need like 400? Are we stupid? Yep. Anyway, they find the Peregrine, the derelict, and it's so dark and so spooky, right? Calls to mind the episode Empok Nor from DS9, if you know that episode, no spoilers. But in that episode, we see Deep Space Nine from a different light in that episode, as we are seeing what is clearly the set of the Enterprise in a different light. The Enterprise itself is an actor in this episode, playing the role of the U.S.S. Peregrine. Sombra class. As far as I can tell, the only thing different is the control panels. If you see anything different from the Constitution class in this class of ship, tell me in the comments, because I want to know. I'm an engineer, and I can't tell, and I can tell the difference between the Enterprise and the Columbia in Star Trek Enterprise, and I can't tell the difference between these two. So, without further ado, we're finding out what happened. The crew's dead. There's 3 life signs there. We're viewing a log from the captain. Stardate, I don't know. We've been here for 2 weeks now. The crew's dead. I'm dying. Guess what? It was the Gorn. The Gorn. We cannot invent our own alien race for this show. We have to steal the Gorn. Okay, fine, it's the Gorn. We know everything about the Gorn now, and somehow we're supposed to just forget it in a few years. Yeah, okay, buddy. Alright, bud. I believe that. Yeah, okay. So, the Gorn killed the crew, but there's, 2 life signs left on the ship? Okay, so Uhura and Hemmer get down to engineering to see what they can get back online. And they investigate also the survivors, okay? There's a human small girl and an unknown alien humanoid. That's great. They find this girl, they find not Newt, they find Oriana. That's her name, not Newt. I don't know where I got that from. But they're looking over these people. We have to find Gorn eggs, right? According to the captain's log that was left over, they accidentally let Gorn eggs in. They got through the scanner somehow. Gorn eggs hatched. They scuttled the ship. Yada, yada, yada. The same thing's happening again, you see. So we have the benefit of foresight, but because we're immensely dense in the membrane, insane in the membrane, we can't figure out how to beat the Gorn here. We are Starfleet. We have the benefit of home turf advantage. We are on a Starfleet ship. The Gorn are newborn Gorn. We have phaser rifles. We have Starfleet close quarters combat tactics. And we can't beat a few Gorn. They're not exactly intelligent. Especially now, these babies run around like a wild animal. Are you serious? They're not the Borg. They're not Klingons. You're joking. With a few Gorn scuttled the Peregrine, and now we're in a life and death situation with Gorn. Okay, whatever, okay. The Gorn eggs apparently have different gestation times depending on the species. So for an alien, it might take this long. For a human, it takes days. For an Andorian, wink wink, apparently it takes a few seconds or a few minutes, or whatever the plot needs to be dramatic. So Dr. Mbenga is supposed to be doing a scan of the survivors. That's the little girl, the little human girl, and the unknown alien humanoid. And guys, somehow the Gorn eggs, they got past all our sensors. But you know what? It can't get past the one primitive sensor that we all have, except for Hemmer. The eye. That's right. You can clearly see that the alien character is in distress. He's breathing heavy. He's sweating. Nurse Chapel gets the bright idea to look under his sleeve. He's full of Gorn eggs. Holy shit, there's life-destroying mistake number 1. Okay. And now we have to, for some asinine reason, we have to now defend the ship from the Gorn instead of leaving. After this point in the show, I had to get up and go for a walk. And then come back, cool my head, and finish the episode. But guess what? It only got worse. Okay? You would think, wisely, that we should just leave the ship now. We have the survivors. We know one of them's going to die. Let's get the girl, go back to the shuttle, and call it a day. The Gorn aren't going to survive on that planet alone. What's the problem? We have guns. The Gorn have teeth. Which one wins? But no, we now have to turn this. We have to make a hackneyed attempt to re-engineer this plot into becoming a plot about defending a defensible position from an unknown alien force, which it isn't. It's a known alien force, and this position, we got home stage advantage. Like I said, where's the threat? But in their infinite stupidity, they find a way to die. Duke dies. That's right. He was promoted earlier. He gets carried away by what appears to be a comically small Gorn hatchling. Like an idiot. He gets dragged off. Blood everywhere. Spock takes it personally because Spock is crazy in this episode. This is an episode where Spock loses his mind. Yeah, it does happen. And yeah, okay, it's canon, right? The secret of Vulcan Fury and all that. But it is recanonized again in this episode where Spock says, oh, Vulcans have emotions, but sometimes they get out and we have to suppress them and blah, 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 blah. Well, there comes a point where we find out from Leanne, who was just a genius about the Gorn, by the way, after she finds Oriana, the survivor girl, and she's just like pestering her for answers. This minor, and a young, clearly in shock minor who just survived an incredible ordeal, and Leanne is just treating her like garbage. Go look at this scene. Leanne is clearly emotionally compromised. She's just saying, help, where do we need to do blah, blah, you blah, blah, you tell me about this Gorn, blah, blah, what do you know, blah, blah, blah. And coming on to this kid, my guy, stop it, like, what's going on? Where's Pike? We need to have a talk about this behavior later, how you were talking to that human kid, okay, because it was psycho, okay, she's clearly emotionally compromised. There's Gorn here, what do you want to do, kill him? I believe that is Leanne's exact words, by the way. Totally compromised, totally dangerous. I wouldn't trust having her around anywhere. Things don't exactly go swimmingly in this episode. Although Spock has to now compete with Gorn, Leanne has this idea that these baby Gorn respond to competitive threats. You have to out-compete them and scream at them like you're screaming at an animal and they're going to understand what you're saying. She's trying to speak English to these Gorn. Guys, I'm sorry if this review is a little bit scatterbrained, but I can't. When I don't like an episode, it's long and confusing as a review. When I like it, it's short and succinct and sweet. This is long garbage. And we're losing to the Gorn. Spock has to summon his inner fury to scream at a Gorn to scare it. Spock, just scream at them. Like, wait, it's an animal. You don't have to really believe the scream. Just yell at them. Can you yell? Spock. You don't have to access the secret of Vulcan Fury in your heart to scream at a Gorn hatchling. Like I'm wont to say, I just don't believe it. I've said that for the last few episodes of this show. Circumstances are contrived, and I just don't believe it. Kirk, in the future, mind you, went toe-to-toe with one adult Gorn in a desert landscape and used only the terrain to his advantage. No spoilers. I'm not saying he won necessarily hand-to-hand. But a Gorn, it's not exactly a vicious, primal killer, right? It's not like... We're establishing this idea, right? That the Gorn, when they're born, are like a little wild animal, and then somehow grow up to fly starships? I just don't believe it. I don't know, man. I've met all kinds of alien species, and I don't know if I've never seen a wild animal in its adult years all of a sudden have a 200 IQ boost. Like, I've never seen this, but maybe it works like that now. I mean, maybe the history of the Gorn is up for grabs and we've never explored before, so Strange New Worlds can just do whatever they want. I somehow feel that's wrong, but whatever. Gorn are violent, primal animals of instinct now. Okay? And later on in Lower Decks, we would see an adult Gorn working a concession stand at some starbase, if I remember correctly. Yeah, this is the same franchise, guys. Believe it, right? Yeah, believe me. Just trust us. I'm Alex Kirkland. Just trust me. No, Kirkland. Bad. Bad Kirkland. Bad. Bad. Bad Kirkland. I mean Kurtzman. This is Kurtzman's signature. Kurtzman's signature Trek, right? Everything's made up and nothing matters. Sadly, we have to somehow fight these Gorn. It is established that Gorn are afraid of the cold. It's a blizzard outside. It is an ice world. Guys, take the kid and go back to the shuttle. The Gorn are afraid of... They do throw one line in to cover this up. It's a blizzard out there. We'll never survive. They say that, like, what is it? Like, in the context of the show, hours after they arrive. It took you that long to figure out that you should just go back to the shuttle. It took you long enough for a blizzard to come for you to think that you should go back to the shuttle. Frankly, I'm much more comfortable with the blizzard than with the Gorn. If we've already established that the Gorn are this good at defeating Starfleet, we should go to the shuttle. I'll just take a vote here. I'm voting shuttle. Okay, it's just a blizzard. You know, it's not... You know, it's not a raining hellfire of liquid mercury. Which it could be. Right, that could happen. That's not what it was. It was just a snowstorm, evidently. But we need to beat the Gorn, and we do have this idea to spray it with liquid nitrogen. We've rigged up something from engineering to, on command, exhaust cold gases from inside the instrumentation of the ship, okay? From inside the Peregrine. And what we do is we make bait, okay? We bait the Gorn into coming out by hiding Hemmer in a small cargo pod, waiting for the Gorn to show up, and then as it comes over the cargo pod to eat Hemmer, we will blast it with what appears to be liquid nitrogen, perhaps it's not, some kind of cold gas that immediately defeats the Gorn. So the Gorn are killing each other after they're born to find out who the Alpha is, and then we kill the last one. Well, we should have just left. But we didn't leave, and guess what? Hemmer got sprayed. That's right. Gorn spray you from a distance to plant eggs in you. For some reason. How does that help? How did they evolve to do that? Gorn have evolved to pass their eggs through biosensors, but not the sensor of the eye, if we're stupid and don't see it. So that's twice they've thwarted Starfleet, they thwarted the Peregrine, and they thwarted the Wave mission from the Enterprise. They've evolved to spray eggs onto someone, spray eggs onto a host, and then they hatch, evidently not stealing any genes that I could see. So why did we impregnate people with Gorn eggs? One would think that they could just do that to each other. Maybe they could do it to each other in a non-destructive way? Wouldn't that be good? Like, wouldn't you think that's how they would evolve? Gorn hatch. After a while, they mature. They spray each other. More Gorn hatch, and it doesn't kill the people who were sprayed. I say people because Gorn, they were people. You know, they're not dumb, right? But this episode would have you think different. We got a lot of cleanup work to do in Strange New Worlds if we're going to reestablish the Gorn as people who can command starships. Okay, a people, right? Think what you want about the Gorn, but they're not animals. Okay, I just want to make that clear for somebody who has maybe never seen Star Trek and has only seen Strange New Worlds. Why this is so strange to me. Hemmer was sprayed by Gorn eggs, and at the behest of the captain says, "You don't have to do this." Oh, okay. I don't have to do this. I don't have to kill myself. The captain told me not to kill myself. Pike should have made it in order. Or maybe it was implicitly in order. Hammer gets the bright idea to kill himself. To jump out of the cargo bay of the Peregrine, ending his life in admittedly a very home-like environment, an environment that reminded him of Andoria. In his mind, these eggs cannot be stopped. The hatching cannot be stopped. So instead of going up to the Enterprise, he just kills himself. This is the second time we've had a pointless death in Discovery and Strange New Worlds. They feel similar now. In Discovery, we killed Admiral Cornwall. Was that her name? And she died standing in her room with a torpedo exploding, where Pike watched the torpedo explode through a window and didn't go blind. Remember that? It's just a hackneyed excuse to add drama. I want to go out like a hero, so I'm willing to kill myself for no reason? I've seen it before, and I didn't know Hemmer had such a flair for the dramatic, but he killed himself, okay? I would have said maybe freeze me with the cold gas and then take my frozen body back up to the Enterprise and do surgery. You know? But Hemmer had to die because he's not in TOS. The two characters who were not in TOS, they find a way to die, right? Hemmer's gone and Duke is gone. Hemmer, most unfortunately, because I was starting to like Hemmer. This episode made me furious. They killed Hemmer. You have such an interesting character, and you just kill him. Whatever. We all knew he had to go. But Scotty doesn't have to be there yet. Can't you just have him retire? Can't he just say, "Oh, I've accepted a position on Andoria"? Oh, great. That's so good for you, Hemmer. Handshake. No. He had to go out in a blaze of glory, killing himself, and then appearing at the end in the funeral in picture form. They have these photographs framed of the people who died here. And they're at a funeral. And Spock is... You can see Spock's fist. He's getting angry. Ooh, Spock's getting mad. Ooh, somebody play me the world's tiniest fiddle. So Spock walks out of the funeral at the end and punches the wall and is comforted by Chapel. This is psycho. This is crazy. We are back in Cuckoo Bananas Discovery Land. Welcome to Discovery, guys. Hello, it's been a while. It's been a few weeks since Discovery was here, but it's back. It's back in full form, baby. Nonsense plot with, by the way, I forgot to mention, there's 3 or 4 scenes of self-congratulatory dialogue. Hemmer and Uhura and Sam Kirk. And it's just like, it's Sam says to Uhura, "Man, you really are good at everything." Hemmer and Uhura are talking about how, sometimes you don't realize that, like, when you're leaving, you don't want to be left behind, but sometimes that's wrong because we have our friends help us complete ourselves. Blah, blah. Just bear with me. Imagine the dialogue that you would think would be in Discovery. Write it for yourself, and it's smarter than what's in here. That's why I didn't go into it. You see how I can get the plot across without 3 or 4 scenes of self-congratulatory Discovery dialogue that would normally be reserved for, like, Michael in Discovery, but now it's going towards, like, Uhura, because she needs to be congratulated for everything, because I guess she's just a crewman and we need to encourage her. Because she's such an expert linguist, by the way, when they meet the original non-hostile alien who was infected with corn eggs, because she's a linguist, she knows to walk forward with her hands up and says, "I won't hurt you." I should go back to the academy, take linguistics, so that way I can know that when I meet a hostile alien who I want to calm down, I can just put my hands up and say, "I'm not going to hurt you," and walk towards them. Genius. How many languages do you have to learn to do that, Uhura? 100? How many did that take? What a genius. You really are good at everything, Uhura. Yeah, my left foot. Well, anyway, that's the plot of All Those Who Wander, okay? And we're wandering through a blizzard of insanity. Now let's dig down into what was the main core problems of this episode. Well, I would say, number one, our characters are making dumb decisions at every possible instance, okay? The captain made a lot of really dumb decisions because the captain's responsibility is the entire crew. The bad decisions of the crew are inherited by the captain. That's why we have the command structure set up the way it is. The captain has to incur the blame for everything so that the captain can internalize the problem and be most incentivized to fix it and then radiate out the solutions. Okay, that's the best way to run a starship. The captain's problem is the problem of everyone else, okay? Leanne makes a serious mistake. That belongs to the captain. It's his responsibility. Starfleet doesn't want to talk to Leanne. They want to talk to Pike, okay? And Leanne, at every instance in this episode, has done nothing but make it worse, okay? Leanne accosting this child for information about the Gorn. Good thing Mbenga was there to stop her with some bedside manners. Screw bedside manners. This is common sense. This is something you wouldn't be able to get through Starfleet as someone who was willing to scream or yell at a child. It wouldn't happen. And you have no excuse. They're not an alien. They're a human. You should know better. Even when they're an alien, that's not an excuse. Like, at Starfleet, you learn about so many different alien races and how to handle them. Okay, like you talk to a Tellarite different than you would, say, a Romulan. I don't need to get into it, but Leanne should have known better. This was a really bad moment for her. This is a terrible Leanne episode, a terrible Hemmer episode, terrible Uhura episode, terrible Sam Kirk episode. They waste no opportunity to deride Sam Kirk in this episode, James's brother. At any moment he is on screen, they are stepping on him. He is the character to lose his cool and start freaking out, saying they should go back to the shuttle. That's a good idea, by the way. But they play it off like that's dumb and that's giving up and quitting. And Pike is there to say, oh, he's tougher than he looks. They even offer him to give him a sedative. Game over, guys. Game over. Somebody should make a supercut of all the times Sam Kirk is denied and put upon by the rest of the crew in this stupid show. Why do they hate him so much? Where do they get off hating Sam Kirk so much in this? Does anybody really know? I would say that a defining feature of Kirkland Trek is that we're okay with shamelessly deriding our fellow crew members. Have you noticed this? Like, you remember in TNG, I know that's the future, but in TNG, when Barclay felt put upon by the people around him, deservedly or not, the captain was the one not willing to let that slide. Okay? They said that, no, Barclay is Barclay, we're the Enterprise. Okay? If we can't make it better, no one can. So they took it upon themselves to fix the problem, okay, that Barclay had. You know, antisocial behavior with regards to crew members. I've seen nothing wrong with Sam Kirk, but we still find this way to just make fun of him at every opportunity, and then we don't have the moment at the end to fix it where we were wrong, like we did with Barclay. You know, you can't just endlessly deride someone because they might die. Like, what if they die? Sam Kirk doesn't die here, and he won't for a while. But what if they die? Are you willing to let somebody die, and the last thing you said to them was just making fun of them? Like, oh, this guy's crazy, he's dumb. Look at this non-confrontational individual. He's so blah, blah, blah. It's not very nice. But he was in this episode, so we have our clown character. Haha. Funny guys. And Hemmer, we just learned who Hemmer was. It feels like we've only known him for a few episodes, and he didn't really get his episode. We got some good Hemmer episodes, but we didn't get his episode. And now he's gone. And if you bring him back, I'll hate it. because it's going to be so hackneyed and contrived, like a certain other character who was killed in Discovery and then brought back a little bit later because they realized how stupid it was to kill him. We write this on the fly. Can you tell? These shows are kind of written on the fly. They don't really know what they're doing. They don't really have a plan. Hemmer's gone. Duke is gone. We just met him. He's gone. And the characters who need to be around for TOS are still around. But the core of the problem, I would say, is number one, our bad decisions. And number two, the atmosphere around the Gorn is morphed so that the Gorn are now a credible threat to Starfleet. Like it's serious. Like they're not Klingons. And you can't, this is a prequel. You can't really do that. This is before TOS. I think they're going to reboot TOS any second now. But we desperately needed our own alien threat here that was unique to Strange New Worlds, that just didn't come up because, well, it didn't come up. Space is big. Things can disappear. We can meet an alien and then never see them again. That's okay. What's not okay is meeting an alien we already know about and they're totally different. I mean, these things show up and they're like walking on all fours, and then I know that by the time it's an adult, it's bipedal. We know how it looks through their vision. We've seen visuals through the eyes of a Gorn in Enterprise. Admittedly, it was the mirror universe, but it didn't look like this. In this episode, it looked like the Gorn had some kind of thermal vision going on. Like they could see silhouettes of people, like through goggles. Very weird. I knew it was coming. I knew we were just going to reinvent the Gorn. And what do we get? What do you get? What do you get from reinventing this old alien that we had before? What do you get? Discovery, we reinvented the Klingons. They look totally different. And then, we made a mistake. And then a few seasons go by and they try to slowly walk it back and turn them back into the Klingons we know. I just don't understand. I don't... Why Gorn? Why just come up with something else? Do your own thing. Invent something. Right? I don't know. We need something that the audience knows about. And that's how you know when your franchise is in decline. When it starts to reach backwards into itself. Okay? Star Trek is not moving out anymore. It's receding. You do a prequel, that's receding. You're going back to a time that you believe was safer, and you're going back to what people remember. People like it, but they don't know that they don't really like it. Okay? Like people like, I love Spock. But they don't know that in the back of their mind, they secretly know that, wait a minute, we can't just hang around with Spock forever. There has to be more to this, right? There's more to Star Trek than the Enterprise and Spock and co. Okay? It's like people don't know what they know. You think a thing, but your brain thinks something different, okay? And what your brain is saying that we can't just live in La La Land forever. Where's the next frontier? Space, the final frontier. It doesn't end at the Enterprise. It doesn't end at this quadrant, and it probably doesn't end at this universe. But we're going back. You see, we're going back. We're mining the past of our own franchise, visually, superficially, and verbally only, to create what we wanted in the skin of the old thing. We wanted hostile alien threat, animalistic, tear people apart, rip off other franchises, wink wink, nudge nudge, say no more, say no more. But we wanted the veneer of the Gorn, so we could say, hey guys, you remember the Gorn, haha. Remember when Kirk fought the Gorn and he threw the rock at him? Pfft, that was so stupid. Wait till you see our Gorn. Bad Kirkland. So that's really where I came off with this episode. I came off with such a bad feeling. And that moment where the Gorn burst out of that alien's back or chest or whatever it was, I paused it and said, no. No way. No way. We're not doing this. We're not doing it. Pause. I'm out. We're not doing it. Are we seriously? We're going to the source of a distress signal. We're finding a survivor. He's infected with these eggs. There's a human girl survivor who survived this and looks very all scared and dirty because of it. The eggs live hatch out of his body and scurry away on the floor. We don't know where it went. There's another movie that came out in 1979. Star Trek the Motion Picture was not the only movie in 1979. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there was another movie where this type of thing happened. I don't watch anything else other than Star Trek. But maybe you can fill in the blanks, okay? Because this is a lot like something else to the point where I had to pause it and take stock of my life up to this point. Let's just reflect on what happened with Star Trek to get to this point where we're copying wholesale concepts and elements from another franchise, okay? Is this really happening? Is this really Star Trek? Is Hemmer really gone? I walked out of this so angry, and you know how I do. If your episode is making me feel nothing, it's a 5. I take it or leave it. If I come out feeling a little better, it must be over a 5. If I come out feeling a little worse, it's below a 5. Musically, nothing here. I don't know. I didn't hear anything. At the very end of the episode, they towed away the Peregrine, and somehow you can tractor beam an entire starship from the surface of a planet. They tractor beamed up a derelict ship from the surface to space, and you see the Enterprise carrying it away. Maybe. And it is the Constitution class. It is. Don't you call it the Somber class. It's the Constitution class. Look at it. I'm sorry. Musically, whatever. Philosophically, if you dig really, really deep down, maybe there's something about emotions and not keeping them pent up. Seeing people die, just the atmosphere around death. Spock loses his mind. That's something. Morally, who cares? Philosophically, who cares? There's blood, there's gore, we're fighting Gorn, and somehow Starfleet is outsmarted by the Gorn. Twice, guys. Whoa. Chapel locks herself inside a force field in the med bay. And we have phaser rifles and access to the ship's controls. And it's a blizzard outside, and the Gorn hate the cold. Whoa, dude. We can't beat the Gorn. We can't beat 3 Gorn babies. Yo. This is cray-cray. We're just Starfleet. We can't do it. God, I could do this alone. Shoot it. Shoot the Gorn. What do you need to know? You know the layout of the ship. You're Starfleet. You have the shuttle. You can run back to the shuttle and phaser the shit out of that ship. The Gorn ain't gonna survive that. Why do we want to save the Peregrine? It's just the Constitution class again anyway. Give me a break with this dang episode. Without further ado, I'm going to have to go ahead and give this episode a 3.5. Best I can do. Worst episode of Strange New Worlds yet. Hopefully the last episode is better, but from what I've seen in previews, it doesn't look that much better. Again, if you guys can get something out of the kind of close quarters action here and the gore, I understand that. That's cool and all. I hope you enjoyed it. If you can get something out of that, I can't. It's not for me. To me, this speaks of a Star Trek that has left me behind, a Star Trek that doesn't feel like Star Trek to me, And we had to kill the character I was liking. Sad, isn't it? We go through all these different seasons of New Trek. So precious few characters we can enjoy. And they take one and they say, here's this guy. He's cool. He's new. He's fresh. Poing! He's gone. That's Strange New Worlds, All Those Who Wander. I wandered through it. I came, I saw, I left, and I'm leaving now. Tell me what you think in the comments. I'll see you guys later.